If your wife did not have sex with you for a year and a half, what would happen? Like, what would happen?
I would other women.
Babe, oh my God.
I'm just saying.
What kind of a person are you?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of New York, Season 14, Episode 12. And before we jump into it, let me just say that Sai gets more and more insufferable as the weeks go on. And hopefully Sai got read at the reunion because once again, she is just so obnoxious. Her personality leaves a lot to be desired. And the funny part is, you can tell that Sai thinks that she's the fan favorite. And I know it must be a shock to her system at the fact that it's the complete opposite. And I saw on social media, I think last week or the week before last, she's already trying to blame editing on why she's coming across a certain way. And if there is one thing that I cannot stand in the reality TV space, is when these folks show their behinds, then when we see it, we clock it, we don't like the person, then they want to say, well, no, it's editing and you're not seeing my full personality. I'm not oblivious to the fact that to a certain extent, yes, they do edit things to make it look a certain way. But sis, it's been 12 episodes. They're simply showing us what you're showing them. You just don't have a pleasant personality and you're very unlikable. I thought that the lunch between you and Jessel at the end, that was really hard to watch. You're just so dismissive and so self-righteous, and you think that you're the authority on who gets to tell their story and who doesn't. But without further ado, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. So we open up the episode with Jessel and Pavit out to dinner, and they start talking about their twins, and Pavit's like, I mean, you were gone for a few days on vacation, and it was just so much with me watching the boys. I had no help, no nanny, and I'm thinking, sir, this is what moms do 24/7. And while I'm not a parent yet, I just get a bit irritated when I hear fathers making the biggest deal and wanting a big pat on the back because they watch their kids for a few hours or a few days. And it's like, again, that's what motherhood is 24/7, 365. So, Pavit, I wasn't here for all that. You want a big pat on the back because you watched your twins for 5 days while Jessel was away on vacation. I'll be sure to bring out the world's tiniest violin for you, sir, but I'm glad that you're an active father, but that's where the praise starts and stops. So Jessel reveals that on the trip, Erin and Sai were ganging up on her. She's like, they brought up the whole privilege conversation again. Even Pavit's annoyed. He's like, again? So now Jessel goes on to say that she wants to meet up with Sai one of these days because she wants Sai to know that she's not trying to compare her life story to hers, and she wants to connect and squash the beef. Now, Jessel, you're way too nice, like I've been saying, because after Sai screamed at you at that dinner in Anguilla, and then on that boat ride, she was yelling at you again, talking about you're lying and your parents' story isn't your story, and then she went on to say that the math ain't mathin', that would have been the end of conversation. I'm not going to keep reaching out to somebody who A, clearly does not like me, and then B, wants to low-key compete about who's had the more tragic upbringing. I'm not doing that.
No.
It's obvious that Sai just does not want to like Jessel, and she wants to be a mean girl along with Erin. So with that being said, we would not have any further conversation. Jessel, you don't owe anybody an explanation about your life story and what you've been through. If they don't want to believe you, if they don't want to accept that, then let it be what it's going to be. They purposely want to misunderstand you, and that's what it is. And at the very end of the day, who is Sai? Sai does not have a heaven or a hell to put you or anybody else in, so why does her opinion of you matter? So now they change gears and Jessel brings up their staycation. She's like, when are we gonna do that? And we find out that Pavit already has everything handled. He's like, babe, it's gonna be next week. I already booked the hotel. The kids already have the nanny. Like, we're good. So she's like, wait, what? Like, you have everything already planned out? I can't believe this. But I just said, after 2 years of this man not getting any, he is ready to go. Listen, over here, we love a man with a plan, okay? Because I don't believe that it needs to be on the woman to be planning every little thing. So I was happy to see Pavit really step up and say, no, it's already handled. I have the hotel. We're staying at the Ritz-Carlton. I was just like, yes, it just gets better and better. So now we jump over to Jenna, and Jenna is out and about. She's at Henrietta Hudson. Now, Henrietta Hudson is an iconic lesbian bar in the city, and she's there because she wants to meet somebody. We all know that Jenna broke up with her girlfriend a few months ago, so she's a bit bummed about it, but she wants to get back out there in the dating scene. So Jenna goes on to say that she used to go to Henrietta Hudson when she first came out, so to be back, it's like being in her old stomping grounds. Now, when Jenna went on to say that she needs Brynn's help and how she's super shy, and since Brynn knows how to flirt and flirt well, she's the perfect wing woman, and that she's never picked up somebody before, I kind of find that a little bit hard to believe, only because I feel like Jenna's very charismatic and very magnetic, so people would automatically come to her. I don't feel like Jenna really needs to go over to somebody. Does that make sense? And also, being that Jenna has a lot of status and a lot of prestige behind her, I feel like with the social circles that she's in, I really can't imagine that it's that hard for her to find somebody. I feel like all she needs to do is say, hey, do you know so-and-so? I want to meet them, or put me in these rooms with these people and meet somebody that way. Like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like, I love you, Jenna, but I really doubt that you need this much help when it comes to finding somebody. And if you follow Jenna on Instagram, she's doing just fine. She has a new girlfriend, and there were rumors that they were engaged because I think her girlfriend posted a picture of her with this gorgeous ring on her finger. So I'm like, Jenna, you don't need any help. Like, you're doing just fine in the love department. And meeting Jenna in person, like I said, she's very charismatic, very magnetic. There's this natural sex appeal. So I just really highly doubt that she's this shy and she's this scared to approach somebody. Or I'm like, girl, I love you and all, but I'm not buying what you're trying to sell. And one thing about Brynn is always going to be extra, and she is always going to make the night about herself. So she's like, I brought gloves tonight. Now, if you saw the episode, you know why she brought the gloves. I'm not going to say it here, only because every time I say something talking about adult matters, this platform gets weird. And I'm like, why does that happen? Because other creators can talk about that in depth. And I'm just like, why when I say one thing? But you know what? That's another story for another day. But anyhow, again, if you watch the episode, you know what she said after about why she brought the gloves. So Brynn goes on to talk about how she wants to make out with a woman tonight. Now, again, Brynn, that's all fine and well. But if you're here to help Jenna out and for her to get back into the dating scene, why are you making it about yourself? And that's really my only issue with Brynn. I just feel like the attention always has to be on her. And I know that she talked about that in the last episode where she said that at a young age, she knew what to do to get attention from people. We can clearly tell that she loves attention. But after a while, when you always have to make the focus about you, that gets exhausting. It can't always be about you. So now a woman named Katie walks over, and you could tell that Jenna was attracted to Katie. And you have Brynn at the side trying to flirt with Katie. And I'm thinking, Brynn, why are you flirting with Katie? Let Jenna flirt with Katie. Personality-wise, Brynn reminds me of Sonia Morgan from the original New York, because we remember Sonia loved attention, especially male attention. And she just needs to be center of attention at all times. And Brynn reminds me of a younger version of her. And Sonia's funny, she's iconic, but her personality can also exhaust you as well. But it was a successful night for Jenna. We see that her and Katie have a cute little rapport, and Katie writes her number on Jenna's arm, and Jenna had me screaming. She was like, I wonder if she knows that I'm a lot older than her. And then she was like, well, maybe she wants a MILF. I was thinking, Jenna, I'm pretty sure that this woman knows exactly who you are. She's obviously playing it cool, but I will bet you money that she knows who you are. And she's looking for a MILF and a bag. Now, when we jumped over to Erin, Abe, and Sai and her husband David going out for a double date, I have quite a few thoughts. So anyhow, Sai says that it's so hard to find couple friends, especially finding couple friends where you and your spouse like the other spouses. That's hard to find. And you know what's so funny? I've heard so many married couples say that, where the wife will like the other wife, but then the husbands don't gel, or it's the opposite, where the husbands are cool, but the wives don't see it for each other. So I really feel like, damn, it's a struggle for couple friends to find friends, single folks to find friends. Like, damn, can you find a friend? And if you've been watching my lives, especially this recent live, you know where I am when it comes to friends right now, okay? I'm very much giving, yeah, it's been cute, but...
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
But we're not going to get into all that now. You can just go and catch the last live. But anyhow, they're all chatting, and the whole topic about Jessel and Pavit's non-existent sex life comes up. And I want to ask Erin and Sai a question. For you guys to not like Jessel, she sure lives in your mind rent-free, because why is this a topic of discussion at a date night? You guys don't feel embarrassed? I'll be damned if I'm spending precious quality time with my husband and friends to talk about a woman that I don't like. That's some real weirdo behavior. So now Erin throws out a hypothetical question, and she's like, what would you do if you and your wife didn't have sex for a whole year and a half? And the way Erin's husband didn't miss a beat, he was like, well, if that were us, I'd be out there having sex with other women. And the way Erin was so embarrassed, she was like, really, Abe? But what if I was going through something? And I said, now, Erin, do you hear yourself? Because obviously for Jessel and Pavit to not have had sex for 2 years, she's obviously going through something too. So it's okay for you to clown Jessel and Pavit, but now when it comes to your husband being honest, now you want to get all sensitive and get all angry? Now maybe you'll shut your mouth about Jessel in every episode, because I'm getting so sick and tired of Erin as well. So now Sai's husband David says that obviously if they hadn't had sex in a year and a half, the marriage would be over. So Sai's like, now that's the correct answer. That's what a husband is supposed to say. Now, while David did give the PC answer, the way he was laughing at what Abe said, he was obviously on the same wavelength that Abe is on. You could tell that David was like, girl, if you ever decided that you don't want to have sex with me, I will be cheating on you too. And a quick side note, I saw on Twitter a few days ago where this anonymous person was pretty much spilling the tea on Sai, and they know the truth about how they got together, how Sai was allegedly the side chick, and she was the one who came in between David and his first wife. I said, Sai, if that is the case, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do come season 15, if you even come back to the show. Now, I thought it was really interesting how this conversation took a hard left, because when Erin said that if Abe had some issues down there, she would have sex with another man, and you saw how annoyed Abe got, he was like, okay, let's not get carried away now. I said, you see how men have the audacity? It's okay for them to step out, but when you even mention stepping out, now it's okay, let's not get carried away. Like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I found the rest of this conversation to be very interesting, because Erin started talking about later on in their marriage, they might want to get into swinging. And then you have Abe talking about, yeah, maybe 10 years from now, we might want to swing with another couple. Obviously, a couple that we don't know. And I was like, what? Sai and David were both looking at them like, what in the entire hell is going on? What are we talking about? How did we get here? And then we have Erin going on to say that she'd want to have a threesome with a gay man. And at this point, Sai and David were both confused. I was just like, Erin, whatever the arrangement is going down the road, I just don't think that you're going to be happy with the outcome if you and Abe do decide to open your marriage up. I see it ending in disaster. Erin low-key gives me pick-me vibes where she would do anything to keep her husband. So if he says that he does want a threesome, he wants to have an open marriage, she'll just do it, even though that's not what she wants. That's the impression that I get. This whole scene had me screaming, I have to say. I thought it was so funny how Erin has been flapping her gums, but then she was caught by surprise when her husband said, well, girl, if that's the case, then I'll be out here with other women. She couldn't take it. I just love the fact that Erin was low-key embarrassed because, again, you're sitting up there talking about how it could never be you and you're teasing Jessel and Pavit. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, you're up here considering opening up your marriage for your husband. And then to hear that if you should ever fall in hard times emotionally or mentally or whatever, your husband will not be comforting you. He'll be in the arms of somebody else. So now we jump to the night of Ubah's healing event. And mind you, they're doing sound baths. And one thing that I've noticed, the minute that one franchise does something, then all the other franchises follow suit. Because this has to be the 5th or 6th city that I've noticed that they're now doing sound baths and getting shamans. We've seen them do sound baths in Atlanta, Beverly Hills, Salt Lake City. So I'm just kind of like, is this the new trend? So everybody shows up except for Brynn. We find out from Brynn that she tested positive for COVID, so she won't be there. So now the session starts and the healer goes around the room. She's asking all of them, what do they want to get out of this? What are their intentions? Sai starts it off by saying that her intention is to be more grounded, to be more present. I think Ubah says that she wants to pour the love that she gives to other people into herself. Jessel goes on to say that she wants to stay grounded. And Erin says that her intention is to be more patient with her kids. And when they all laid down and the healer went around to each one of them and she was asking them to recite some affirmations to their inner child, and you have Jenna. Jenna's doing it. Jenna was obviously into it. Ubah was into it because Ubah was emotional. Ubah started crying at one point. And then you have Sai talking about, I don't need to do this. I'm not a crier. I don't need to be healed. There's nothing wrong with me. And I said, girl, are you sure? Because you are a bit obnoxious. And also, Sai, I understand if you're a bit skeptical about this, but at least go into this with an open mind. I feel like Sai is extremely closed off, and it's almost like she doesn't want to have an open mind about things. Again, I'm not saying that you have to be into sound baths, but at least approach it from, hey, I might get something out of this. I might learn something new. Why not? If your attitude's going to be this bad, then maybe stay home. Sai just has a very bitchy attitude, and it's annoying. Like, girl, I get it, but this isn't high school. All of this just, like, I can't be bothered. Who are you doing this for? And it's so disappointing because I was rooting for Sai. I really wanted to like Sai. I was like, oh, I know Sai's gonna be one of my favorites, probably a fan fave. And it has been the complete opposite. So the healing session is over, and now we see some food arrive. I said, I know Sai must be happy because the way she's always bitching about food. And I was even more irritated with Sai when Jessel was like, hey, Sai, what are you doing on Friday? Are you free? I would love to go and grab lunch with you. And Sai was like, I mean, sure, I guess. Then we flipped to Sai in her confessional, and she's like, I don't want to have lunch with her. What do we have to talk about? I'm just like, girl, you just don't want to like her. Because I don't understand why it's such an issue to go out to lunch with Jessel. You thrive being a mean girl and picking on somebody. And you feel like Jessel's an easy target, so you don't want to be friends with her. And seeing how you treated Jessel at the lunch, I don't think anybody's clamoring to go out with you anytime soon. I'm just saying. So we see Jessel announcing to the ladies that she and Pavit are having their staycation at the new Ritz-Carlton in Nomad, and she's really excited.
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
Now, a quick side note. Anybody who knows me, you know that I am a Ritz-Carlton girl, okay? Like, this is a Ritz-Carlton stan account. And if anybody at the Ritz-Carlton is watching me right now, hi, and please email or DM me because I would love to be an ambassador. But I digress. But in all seriousness though, the new Ritz-Carlton in Nomad is stunning. And the rooftop, chef's kiss, a 20 out of 10. No, they are not paying me to say this. I'm just telling you, stunning. But anyhow, she's excited. And of course, here goes Erin. Oh my gosh, really? So you guys are finally gonna have sex? And I was thinking, Erin, was that necessary? What else are they gonna do on the staycation? Like, let's be so for real right now. Jessel was like, well, duh. I have toys, sexy lingerie, like it's gonna be a night. And I was just like, Jessel, you are so much better than me because I would have cursed Erin out for that. The way they keep taunting you, I really wish that you had never said anything about you and Pavit having trouble in the bedroom because they have not let you forget it since episode 2. But Erin, you needed to be told off for that because obviously, why else would they be going on this staycation? Now, I thought it was so funny how we jumped to a short scene with Jessel and Pavit and they're getting ready for their staycation at the Ritz-Carlton. And Jessel came prepared. She was showing him all the toys she bought. She's showing him the lingerie. So she tries it on for him. And Pavit liked what he saw. He was like, oh, okay, you can just wear that to dinner. Like, we don't need to see you in anything else. Just keep this on.
Is hookerish enough?
Wear that to dinner. I think this is a great outfit. Tell him it's like the newest designer.
Can you imagine? I would die.
And Jessel looked so good. That was a really sexy piece. I said, come through. Listen, I am rooting for Jessel and Pavit. I hope that this staycation did what needed to be done because there was a while where I was like, do they even like each other? Is there even any attraction between them? They both seem so dry around each other. Then finding out that it's been a drought for 2 years and then hearing him talk about he wants to go to Vietnam. I was getting worried. I'm not even gonna hold you. Their whole vibe was giving they are pretty much roommates. But right now it seems like they are back on track. So it's the day of Sai and Jessel's lunch. Sai arrives first, and mind you, Sai arrives 20 minutes late. And for me, I was really thrown because lateness is a huge pet peeve of mine. I make it a point to be punctual, and I feel like it's disrespectful, and it shows that you don't care about somebody else's time. So now, that's not even the worst part. Jessel is 41 minutes late. So I'm thinking, now girl, Sai was already late as anything, and now you're trying to outdo her by coming in 41 minutes late? Now, if you break it down, since Sai was already 20 minutes late, she only waited for Jessel for 21 minutes. It wasn't like Sai got there at 11 right on time and waited the whole 41 minutes. She only waited 21 minutes. But still, that's rude. I have to say, Jessel, you and Sai were both wrong for being late like that. So when Jessel arrives, Sai is already pissed off. She's like, you had me waiting here all this time. Are you serious? So when Jessel goes to hug Sai, Sai is very icy. So Jessel goes on to say that sorry she's late. She was in the car for 45 minutes. So Sai's like, girl, why would you pick this place to eat then if it was a hardship for you to get here. So Jessel's like, well, I was trying to be considerate. I want to pick a place that was closer to you. And I'm thinking, in New York, your best bet is to always find a place in the middle. If you're uptown and your friend is downtown or in Brooklyn, try to make it as easy as you can so that you guys can both get there on time. So since Sai is obviously aggravated, she goes on to ask Jessel, why couldn't they have done this on a weekend? Why do they have to do this on a Friday? Because Fridays are busy for her. She's swamped with work, creating content. And Jessel's like, but for me, Fridays are the start of the weekend, so it's the weekend for me. And Sai's like, no, girl, no, it's not. So you already know that this lunch is about to be a hot mess because Sai's pissed off. Jessel's trying to break the ice, but it's not working. And I was like, you know what? At this very moment, I would say, you know what, Sai? I'm sorry for being late, but you can go because obviously you don't want to be here. So Sai's asking her what's going on, how is she doing? And Jessel's like, well, me and Pavit had our staycation at the Ritz. We had a great time. I'm no longer a born-again virgin. Then Sai's asking her if it felt awkward after all that time. And Jessel's like, yeah, it did feel a bit awkward. It took me 20 minutes to finally loosen up. So instead of Sai congratulating Jessel, she's like, well, yeah, a year and a half is just so insane. And I'm like, you have to keep saying that? She already knows that. Sai is one of those people who loves to just twist the knife in even more. She wants you to know how bad your situation is. I can't stand people like that. Because all Sai had to say was, Jessel, I'm so happy to hear this. I wish you and Pavit the best. Glad you guys had a nice adult time out. That's all she had to say. But all that extra stuff about, oh, I mean, yeah, a year and a half, 2 years, that's just crazy. That is so insane. I couldn't imagine. Like, girl, we get it. So Jessel brings up how she knows a married couple where they hadn't had sex in 4 years. And then Sai jokes around that obviously at that point, somebody's obviously messing around with somebody else because there's no way you're going 4 years without. So here's where Sai gets even more aggravating. She's like, honestly, I don't believe this story. I don't believe for a minute that Jessel and Pavit had sex. She's just saying that so we stop questioning her, but I don't believe it because she doesn't have any other details for us. And I'm thinking, do you really want her to go in detail about the sex that she and Pavit had? If she told you, would you even listen? Like, do you hear yourself? There's no winning with Sai. Like I said earlier, Sai wants to find fault with everything that Jessel says. Because now you want to say, well, I don't even believe this story. I don't believe for a minute that they've had sex again. It's almost like you're wishing that Jessel and Pavit's marriage fails. Because why would you think that? Why would you assume that this woman that you know is lying about that? I get the impression that Sai is a very unhappy person. And I also feel like Sai is not a girl's girl. And she probably is a very difficult person to be friends with. I feel like Sai is very competitive, and I think that she just likes there to be this sort of hierarchy where she has to feel better than somebody. So now Sai starts asking about Pavit and this Vietnam trip. She's like, is he still going? And Jessel says, yeah, he's actually going in a few weeks. So you have Sai laughing. Jessel's like, girl, why are you laughing? What's so funny? So, of course, Sai's being shady, and she's like, oh, I'm just really surprised that he's going. What's in Vietnam? So Jessel says that he's only going to Vietnam for a mileage run. So Jessel goes on to say that Pavit actually does mileage runs pretty frequently. And then you have Sai still laughing, pretty much dismissing what Jessel's saying. And I was thinking, Sai, whether or not you believe what Jessel's saying, at least have the decency to be respectful. You're laughing in her face, pretty much letting her know that you don't believe what she's saying. That's just so rude. And also, that's not that far-fetched about mileage runs because there are people who do that, especially if they have a very high status on a certain airline and they want to keep that status. There are people who will book an international trip for a few days or maybe even 48 hours just to get the miles and then fly right back home to maintain their status. Like, it's not that uncommon. Now, did I have a bit of a side eye for Pavit a few episodes ago? Yes. Do I still have a bit of a side eye? Yes. Because with them not having sex for so long, they're finally getting back into the swing of things. I do hope that Pavit's not out there booking an international flight to do something crazy. You know what I'm saying? So now Jessel brings up what she wanted to talk about in the first place, and she's like, look, in Anguilla, when you and Erin were questioning me about my uncle, I felt a bit attacked. Then she goes on to say that she was never trying to compare her life to Sai's, and how she knows that Sai had it a lot harder than she did. And she's like, again, I was not trying to compare myself to you. I just wanted to tell you where I came from, but obviously you took it the wrong way. So Sai goes on to say that she's aware that she's abrasive at times. And I say, girl, that's an understatement. You need to work on that, because I can assure you that had you been talking the way you were talking to somebody else from another franchise, you would have gotten checked quickly. So now Sai goes on to say that everybody in this group can tell when somebody's hiding parts of their story. And I said, but Sai, you and Erin are being assholes because you guys keep trying to find holes in what Jessel's telling you. And like I've been saying, nobody owes you their life story. That's none of your business. Whether Jessel is hiding or concealing parts of her story, that's her prerogative. And I thought it was so rude of Sai to say, if you just own your story, Jessel, nobody will mess with you anymore. And I'm just like, but again, who are you to tell Jessel to own it? When she did tell you her story, you said that she was lying. Her story made no sense. So again, this whole conversation is pointless because you are committed to disliking her. So Jessel's like, look, it's clear that we're not seeing eye to eye for some reason. And now she makes the mistake of sharing yet another story that ends up pissing Sai off. She's like, Sai, I just want to share with you that when you told the story about your mom, I could relate. So Jessel shares that her uncle, the one that she was living with in New York, he was an alcoholic. So she starts crying and she's like, I tried to help him, didn't know how to help him. And now you have Sai talking about, here Jessel goes, being dramatic. And I was so confused hearing Sai say that, because Sai, when you brought up the story about your mom in Anguilla, you were sobbing and nobody said, oh, she's being dramatic again. And if we're being honest, you brought that story up about your mom out of nowhere. But it's okay when you share your story and you're emotional, but when Jessel shares her story, now it's, oh my gosh, here go the dramatics, here go the tears. What's wrong with you? Is it jealousy? Is it envy? Is it hate? Like, what is it? Because I'm trying to understand what your real beef with Jessel is. I'm just really confused. Did she steal your man back in the day? Did she steal money from you? Because once again, it's not clicking for me why you hate this woman so much. And Jessel, here's where you should have gotten up and walked away. When Sai interrupted you and said, you know what, Jessel, you just apologized for trying to compare your story to mine, but now here you are doing it again. Your story about your uncle and what happened to my mom is apples and oranges. I was just like, she's not trying to compare or compete. She's simply telling her story. What more do you want from Jessel? I just don't get it. Does Sai want the trophy of having the saddest story ever? That's what it seems like. Because again, I don't understand why you're this mad. I don't understand why you're mad at all. So Jessel says, all I'm saying is that when I tried to tell my story in Anguilla, you and Erin disrespected me, and I feel like you guys are vultures. So Sai snaps, and she's like, because I never know where you're going with the story. 1 minute you're at point A, the next minute you're at point Z. I just said, huh? How is she at point A and then point Z? She's simply trying to tell you her story. If you would just get your head out of your ass for 2 seconds and listen, but you don't want to do that. But like I said, it's obvious that Sai has it out for Jessel because Sai made absolutely no sense. So here's where I would have blocked Sai from everything and we would never speak again. Sai says, I don't want to talk about my mom again. I'm done. Where's the check? So Jessel's like, are you serious right now? So Sai says, yeah, I'm done. So when I tell you Jessel had me screaming, she said, girl, don't worry about it. I'll cover the check. Like, you can go. So Sai walks out, and that's where the episode ends. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Jessel, this better be your last conversation with Sai. Sai would not be getting a hello or a goodbye out of me ever again. It would not happen. That woman, for whatever reason, has made up her mind about you. She does not see it for you, and she is determined to poke holes in your story and disrespect you. So with that, there would be no more trying to work things out or trying to have a friendship. We'd be done. And Jessel, you're better than me because I would have cursed Sai out one good time, and then that would have been that. Sai, I hope that you're embarrassed because you have made the biggest fool of yourself. Nobody likes you. Every time I'm on Twitter, Instagram, my comments under each recap, other content creators' comments, nobody wants to even see you back for season 15. That's how insufferable you are. I hope that you are somewhere doing some self-reflecting because Miss Mamas, this ain't it. And it looks like in the next episode, you and Jessel are still going at it, and you're sitting up there trying to spread rumors and question Pavit about why he's going to Vietnam. You are out of order. And then it looks like when Jessel confronts you about it, instead of apologizing, you end up cursing her out. How does that work? But guys, that was the episode. That was my recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching, and you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.